may have seen some recent videos and headlines saying things like, songwriting is dead. Well, that might be true for certain, I'd say, genres of music, especially if you're trying to go mainstream, but we want to show you another side to that perspective. And of course, we want to encourage you to continue doing what you do as a metal musician. Hi, my name is Jason Stallworth. I am the co-founder here of Metal Mastermind, along with Ken Candelas.
Thanks, Jason, for that introduction. I am the mad composer of Homeric, and I am also a professor of audio engineering for 4 universities here in New York City. Now, one of the things that we are going to talk about today is about this subject of artificial intelligence. If you've been following Metal Mastermind, you've probably already seen some of these shorts that I've come up talking about this idea versus subjectivity versus objectivity, which in the case of artificial intelligence, let's be real, AI, it's miming off of human works. That's how everything starts, even for humans, by the way, right? When you're first starting to learn how to play your instrument or anything of the creative field, you're usually starting from an inspiration, right? So artificial intelligence is doing the same thing, except that it's a lot faster and more efficient at doing it than us. That begs the question as to whether or not then, is AI going to take our jobs as musicians away? Well, it might in some cases, but in other cases, no, I don't think so. And for the reason is because art has always been subjective. We place value on art by emotional taste, even just subjectivity on what they're talking about, the message behind it, right? There's so many factors and variables, you can even call it chaotic, that humans attribute value to art, where someone would pay $1 million for this piece, where another person would not shed a dime on it. That's always been the case. Art's always been a very weird scenario for the extreme. So with AI in the mix, I'm very hopeful because honestly, AI, I think, can help. It can help to push the boundaries of what makes good art, which means that you have to focus on creating the best art that you can create and not so much as trying to ride a wave so you can just get in the front of that line. Because at the end of the day, the trend is the trend will fall. But if you create something of lasting value, there will always be a cycle where that can come back.
Now, let's talk about the one thing that separates us from everything else out there musically, and that's our genre. When you hear things like songwriting is dead, well, they're usually talking about mainstream music. I think you can agree we're the furthest thing from mainstream music, and that's because the mainstream, well, they're trying to stay on top of the game that everybody else is trying to stay on top of, meaning they're following these formulas. Well, if this song hit, we've got to create another song with that same formula that everybody seems to like, and it just snowballs into, well, yeah, you've got a lot of the same stuff, right? When we're talking about metal music, we like to make music that's, it's catchy, but it's also a bit obscure. If you think about the choice of notes that we use in a lot of our music and the progressions, and of course the style of singing, the style of drumming, the double bass, the blast beats, and of course these loud screaming guitars, well, that's certainly not mainstream, and we're certainly not following any type of formula trying to make it to the top of the charts. So we want to encourage you, yes, please write your own music and pour your heart into those lyrics and progressions and riffs, because that's what makes your music your music. You can put your own twist to it. You can use an obscure set of notes. You might be in one key over here, then all of a sudden go to another key that really wouldn't make any sense in the mainstream world, but it makes perfect and beautiful sense for your music. And you know, we always say on Metal Mastermind here, create your own sound. Don't worry about trying to follow some formula.
This is the opportunity for you to take the time that you need. Don't rush it. I like to use the analogy with my students of trying to bake a pizza in the oven rather than creating a Hot Pocket. Hot Pockets can be great, but do you want to eat Hot Pockets every day of that quality, or would you rather at some point have a nice, large pizza? Pizzas aren't good for a long time anyway, too, but we'll just keep the analogy simple. So if you understand this, right, the idea is then it's like, well, look, you actually have one of the greatest benefits of being an independent musician today. And I know it seems like, well, Ken, it's being so hard to be an independent musician because I can't get out there. I don't know how to get out there. There's not a lot of people listening to my music. Yeah. That's true. But you actually have the freedom right now to not have anybody doing this, right? You're not under the thumb of anybody to make the music that you want to make, which is where you need to spend the most time. You need to take those 10 years it's going to take in order to really discover what it is that makes your music so unique, why people would love to be with you, okay? That's the thing that you need to do the work on the most. So with your music, at a certain point that you know it so well, that you can communicate it so well, that it's so clear to whoever you talk to, no matter how obscure it could be, right? If I can talk to a person, be able to communicate exactly what my music is, and they're like, I understand that, and actually that's kind of interesting to me. That's when you know you've gotten to a really good point in your career where you can then really start to push the boundaries of your marketing skills, etc. Okay? I don't recommend getting into marketing until you've really found out your own inner voice. That is the hardest part. The marketing is honestly the 20% of the 80% of the work. So focus on creating the best art that you can, because imagine, right, if this does go well, then that's what you're going to be known for. And wouldn't you rather live knowing that your art was the thing that actually made you what you were known for?
Now, Ken talked earlier about art versus commerce and made some extremely great points. We want to pour our hearts into the art piece of it, and hey, the commerce, that can come as an effect of our art, not trying to do it the other way around. Remember, us metalheads, we do not follow trends. We're not copying somebody else's formula. However, commerce, it is a thing. You do want to make some sort of revenue and income from your music, and you may even want to be a full-time musician. We're here to say that is possible. And yes, even with this huge change that we've experienced over the last decade in the music industry, and yes, even though certain people are saying songwriting is dead, well, guess what? It's not dead with us metalheads. The first thing we'll tell you, and this is probably very obvious, is don't rely just on streaming. I wouldn't rely on streaming at all, but that does not mean you can't make a living with your own music, with your own art. So this is where we talk about opening yourself up to other areas of income streams with your music, everything that's related to your music. A few practical things you can do. Well, number one, you could be on YouTube. Look, if you're a solo artist or if you have a band, I strongly encourage you to have a YouTube channel for your music. And on that channel, you can do more than just put out music videos. You can go behind the scenes. You can talk about the process of songwriting for particular songs. Maybe there's a really cool story. In fact, I'm certain that you probably have a lot of really great stories behind your music. You can share that on YouTube. You can talk about maybe how to play certain parts of a song. If you're a guitar player, bassist, or drummer, or the vocalist, you can talk about how you came up with the vocal melody. You can share your music, but also give value to the listener, and that's going to help attract more people that start following you, and those have the potential to be your die-hard fans that will support you, even beyond YouTube and social media. Of course, you can be on many platforms these days, but you could also write blog posts on your website. I definitely hope that your band or you as an artist have your own website. If not, please get to cracking on that. But you can write about the process just as well as you can make videos about the process. And you can write blog posts maybe on the equipment, which leads me to another area of revenue for you. Places like Amazon probably has your instruments of choice. Maybe it's a microphone, guitar, drum set, bass amp, whatever it may be, studio gear. They probably have all of that stuff on Amazon, and almost anyone can become what's called an Amazon associate. And we're not necessarily promoting Amazon, it's just one of the easier places to start. But what this means is that you can talk about what you're using, and if people want to click on that link and purchase that product, well, guess what? You get get a commission. So you're getting paid off of something that someone was going to buy anyway based on your use of it. So why not get some of that commission, since you're essentially selling that product for Amazon or whoever you choose to be an affiliate for? Places like Sweetwater and several other online music stores have this possibility as well. You can also give lessons for your instrument or your voice. That's another way you can generate revenue alongside with your music that you're performing. And as you're giving lessons to these folks, whether it be online or in person, or even better, do a group lesson, well, you can turn those folks onto your music. If they enjoy your style of teaching, they're probably naturally going to like your music as well. Those are just a few ways that you can generate revenue as a musician. We'll be talking more about this in near future videos.
Now, thinking about the legal side of all the AI stuff, it's a little bit tricky because it's still really too new. We don't really have all the laws in place yet, which means that working with artificial intelligence is kind of like working with the Wild West. That's a good and bad thing. Obviously, the good thing is that you're on early technology. This could be really big for you doing it that way. But on the other side of that is we've already seen some legal ramifications for how people have used AI, and they're getting sued for that, right? Because of either the AI, mimicking an artist, copying an identity, or even mimicking songs, straight up songs. If we have these legal ramifications right now, what is that going to entail for us in the future? I can only think, and here's another thing about AI, is like every time you are supposed to mark that you've done work with AI, right, that already takes away copyright liberties because it's not yours anymore. It is artificial intelligence. You might have written the prompt, but artificial intelligence created the song. And when we're talking about a song, the thing that matters that who owns the song, an artificial intelligence robot that created a melody that you didn't create. So it's not your song. You understand? So, and the law, if you have to think about it as what a lawyer would in a sense, because a law is very specific. It's very specific on who did what. And if all you did was type a prompt, that does not give you right to ownership. It's very interesting, isn't it? So at least that's where we're at right now. It could change in the future. We don't know. At the end of the day, if you've been pouring your heart and soul into something that you've been working towards for a long time, do you really, right at the end or right at the very beginning of your project, do you really want to start off on the foot of, hey, this was made with AI? Like, I feel maybe that taps a little bit into our pride as artists, where, I mean, it surely affects me. I try not to do anything with AI when it comes to my art. I really don't, because I feel that it takes away from what was originally mine. AI can be good at refining things, like if you have to refine an email to your boss, but I don't like to use AI as a crutch for my creativity. I want to actively engage my creativity. So in those scenarios, be very careful, because it could go down a rabbit hole that maybe you can't come back out of, especially if you go too deep into it in the recording, mixing, mastering process or anything like that. That's going to be stamped on your project for a long time. And if you don't mark it as that it's made with AI and it gets discovered that it actually was made with AI, then you've just lost copyright for something that you were supposed to be owning for the rest of your life. So think about that. This is going to be an ever-evolving space, and we have to tread the waters carefully. So if you want, okay, if you're on the same boat as I am, and you're saying, hey, this is an opportunity for me, okay, to just get better at my craft. I want to be a better songwriter, a better player, right? I want to be a better marketer. I want to do all these things to help make my music into the next level it's supposed to be. That's where Metal Mastermind comes in, okay? Metal Mastermind has been helping musicians already for several years now. We have about 3,000 students in our program. And if you go to metalmastermind.com, you'll find courses for everything from guitar to bass to even songwriting to music production. You'll find all of these resources there, and you will see how much these can help you elevate your progress. So don't give up on yourself. This is an opportunity for you to improve yourself as an artist, songwriter, musician, producer, etc. This is the place for metal musicians to elevate themselves to the next level. We have a very specific course tailored to the nature of songwriting. It's called Metal Songwriters Forge, and it will help you to improve and expand your horizons on the nature of songwriting. Remember that metal is not very traditional, just like Jason said, so we want to lean on those things. What makes your song special? In Metal Songwriters Forge, you're not going to be told what to do. Rather, you're going to be shown different paths that you can take in order to help you break out of your songwriter's block or just being stuck in a position where you don't know where to go next. I urge you to check it out. Metal Songwriters Forge will help you break the mold.